With Miss Lisa Ellis from Sony BMG. Thank you for your time. We'd just like to know, what are your daily activities, a typical day for you? What is it like?
Well, every day is different. There's not really a typical day, but, generally speaking, we meet with artists that are looking to get signed. We manage in the careers of artists that are signed and have current projects out, and whether it's anything from what's going on with their publicity, marketing of an upcoming project, dealing with, radio promotion, and various online initiatives. So it is really mixed up. It could be anything from a day with, sneakers and jeans and a T-shirt, and let's just get to a more corporate role where you're planning and being more strategic and big picture. So it really isn't any kind of ordinary day. Every day can bring something new. You're in the studio, you're at a show, you're at a club, or you're in a boardroom. It kind of is a little bit of all of the above.
Now, for a young person who's trying to get into the business, not as a performer, but they like to be in the boardroom like you, what should we be doing, the steps that we should be taking to prepare ourselves for those opportunities?
Well, the biggest thing that I always say is pick one thing and be the best at it. Pick something that excites you so that you get up every day, and no matter what happens, whether it's good or bad, you are at least enthusiastic about your desire and your passion for it. Most people say, well, if I want to be in the music business, what is it takes? And I know it seems like a kind of dumb question, but it's like, do you love music? And a lot of people are in love with the glamour, but do you really love music? Do you study music? Do you listen to music all day, all night? Do you eat, sleep, and breathe it? Because the people that win are usually the people that is the case. And then after that, at least that one thing, kind of starts, the ball rolling. And then pick what part of it you want to be. And then as you grow, you can become something, more diverse. But usually people that win are usually great at one aspect of it, and then they become two, and then they become three elements of it, and kind of works from there.
Final question. We hear a lot of talk about the images that we see of females in videos and film. As a woman who works in the business, how do you
maneuver through it? It's interesting. You have to kind of decide what your moral decisions are. And then you have to decide, if you believe in the right for people to feel differently than you do. Artists, people always get confused and they think artists are a product. In many ways they are, but they are alive products. With vision and their own opinions of who they are. And, it's in one element, we're there to guide and direct, but you really shouldn't tell somebody who they are or what they should be. I think it's a bigger cultural and society conversation than it is really placing blame on music business or entertainment. We definitely have a responsibility in depicting a positive image, and you should make sure that in any way that you can, you really try to play an important role in society, in the growth and the development of youth. The flip side of that, however, is that artists, sometimes have a different vision of themselves, and it starts and it is beyond the record company. People forget that people are human beings, and a lot of times their art is based on their experience, and their depiction or their art is just based on sending a message of what they've lived and breathed, or they see where they live. So it's not a simple answer, and we've discussed it, and people have discussed it year after year.
There are conversations.
I wouldn't say It depends. There's always conversations. It's a conversation with the artist. It's a conversation at an event like this. It's a conversation at the office in a boardroom. It's a conversation in a social aspect of the organizations that we participate in. So it always is a conversation, and everyone's conscious of it. I think that it just individually with relation to each artist, it's a different way of handling the topic. Some artists have a positive message to send, and society throws that back at them. So the thing that bothers me, I think, the most is that a lot of times we focus on the negative depiction of women, but then we don't celebrate the positive. We don't focus on the artists that send positive messages or have something socially conscious to say. They're like, it's sometimes they're frowned upon and looked at as being, taking a platform or being too political, and they are just as much censored for that as a negative depiction of sexually or lyrically. So it really, both issues have to be dealt with together and parallel, because if we're going to talk about why there is negative depiction, we should talk about why when positive messages are try to come through, it's just as difficult. So it's a bigger conversation. I don't know if I have the answer to it, but we try as much as we can to be morally responsible to communities and to children and youth. And I think, by at least my experience and the artists that I get to represent and work with every day, that the majority of them are very responsible, and they're conscious of the messages that they send, and they participate in their communities, and they give back every opportunity that they can. So it's really a difficult conversation to have without being kind of defensive of them in that element. You might talk about a skirt being too high in a video, but what about the conversations about the 3 nonprofit organizations that same artist funds and spends their time in their hours working towards to give back? So it really, in some ways, it really needs to be an issue that is brought out to the forefront. But I think everyone needs to research and talk. If you're going to start individually identifying companies and artists, you really need to make sure you research everything about that artist and not attack them unjustly. But it is something that, if you're going to contradict that, it's something that I think society needs to think about overall. It's not just the music industry. We didn't invent people walking around in booty shorts. You go down the street, and that's what they're wearing. So it's kind of like a bigger issue that I don't know if I'm equipped or qualified to be the expert in. But, I'm definitely conscious, and it's something that we think about all the time.
Now, this may sound corny, but we're proud of you. There are a lot of us who live vicariously through you. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.